Welcome to Travel You Can Trust, a podcast by the American Society of Travel Advisors. ASTA is the world's leading association of travel professionals and is the global advocate for travel agencies, the travel industry, and the traveling public. I'm Michael Schottey, Senior Director of Marketing for ASTA, joined, as always, by Alvin Adriano, Director of Education. We've got a great show lined up for you today. We're joined by Vicki Freed, Royal Caribbean International Senior Vice President of Sales, Trade Support, and Service, and Zane Kerby, President and CEO of ASTA. But first, I've got a question for you, Alvin.
Yeah.
You've done a couple presentations recently at Premium Business Summit and our Caribbean Showcase about your career and how you got to ASTA. We're talking a lot about professionalization today, so maybe you can tell us a little bit about your personal journey as a travel industry professional.
Yeah, that's awesome. I consider myself an industry baby. I was fortunate to be raised by a travel advisor. My mom started our family agency in 1989, TravelWise International, and I learned the ropes from her. It was hard learning from my mom and following the family business. But as I got more immersed in the travel industry, I found my passion. And I graduated with a degree, but I quickly found that my place was in travel. And that was over 15, 16 years ago that I joined the industry and really found my home. And during the pandemic, with all the help that ASTA provided, I thought it was time for me to give back. And I'm here in ASTA, responsible for curating education and being able to support advisors and their professional development. And, I love what I do, and I love being able to help those that are in the industry. But what about you, Schottey? How did you get here?
Yeah, I got here because I got fired. I woke up, it was like 7, 8, 9 years ago now. It was a long time ago. It feels like a lifetime ago. But I woke up because the company that I was working for had some legal difficulties. It wasn't anything they really did, but basically I worked for a sports betting company, and sports betting wasn't where it was today. And I won't get into all the gritty details, but I woke up without a job, and it was the first day since like age 13 that I didn't have a job. So I knew a guy who ran a travel website, and I reached out and started writing freelance travel articles about, things like Disney World and the cruise industry and places in Florida that I lived near. And that turned into a really vibrant career in the travel trade, and that led me to knowing a lot of people at ASTA. And thankfully, when they reached out, and first on the communication side and now on the marketing side, I love the travel industry. Like, you could not, with a crowbar and a jaws of life and 10 strong men, you could not pry me away from the travel industry again. So the thing I love most about this industry, in addition to all the great places we get to go and the great people we get to meet, is just how the experiences that we create in this industry make people's lives better. And I truly believe that whether it's, a piece of legislation we're working on, or a marketing campaign that my team is doing, or some of the education that your team is doing, I watch every day as the work we do helps people with their business, which helps them enrich their lives, feed their family, stuff like that. But at the same time, then their clients get to go to these amazing places. And I'm not going to overstate it. Like, I don't think I'm personally changing the world, but I do think the work we do here has an impact and does just some really cool stuff.
Yeah, we talk about the travel industry being able to discover some of these new destinations, emerging places, but sometimes it's just the people that you meet. Our journeys all intertwine and cross section, and it's just amazing that the people that you find in this industry, you tend to never get out. You look outside, but you look back in, and you're just like, it's just such a fun industry to be in. And I do think we changed lives, whether people think it or not. Just opening people's perspective and allowing them to discover things that they never thought they would have imagined. I love bringing communities together. I think that's what we've done so well here at ASTA, bringing so many different advisors. There's not just one successful way to be successful in the industry, but I think we've done a great job curating and making sure that all advisors, whatever they do, whatever niche, wherever they are, feel comfortable and have the resources to be successful on their own. So
awesome. Well, we've got Vicki waiting in the rating room, so we've got to take a quick, commercial break, and we'll come back with Vicki Freed from Royal Caribbean International.
Super exciting. Are you a travel advisor looking to stand out? Well, the ASTA Verified Travel Advisor program is your key to success. This self-paced online certification gives you the skills you need to thrive, covering legal insights, ethical excellence, industry relationships, and regulatory compliance. With your VTA certification, you'll build trust with clients, boost your credibility, and gain a competitive edge and take your business to the next level. Show the world you're the travel expert they can count on. Ready to get started? Well, visit asta.org/VTA and become a verified travel advisor today.
Welcome back to Travel You Can Trust, an ASTA podcast. Our first guest today is Vicki Freed. Vicki is Royal Caribbean International's Senior Vice President of Sales, Trade Support, and Service, and a great friend of travel advisors. Vicki, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for asking. And I'm such a pleasure to have this opportunity to talk to travel advisors. And thank you for inviting me on your show.
And it's a pleasure to have you. Let's start here. What's new or coming up at Royal Caribbean that has you excited for 2025 and beyond?
There are so many new things that are exciting at Royal Caribbean. Of course, we have the new Star of the Seas next year, which is a sister to the Icon of the Seas. And then in addition to that, we have just recently announced Perfect Day Mexico, which is another private island experience similar to Perfect Day at Coco Cay, but this is in Mexico. And we are excited to build this with the thrill, the chill, and so much more. And this will also be a port that we will be able to get to from Texas, which is really our growth area for us.
That's so exciting, Vicki. I mean, there's so many new evolutions with Royal Caribbean going on right now, and you've been such a huge champion that advisors play in the travel industry. I'd just like to hear more about the contribution that you believe that makes it essential for advisors to be successful in the industry.
Well, I am a big fan of travel advisors. I started my career so many years ago as the sales rep calling on travel advisors. So I've always understood from the day I started in this industry how important the role of the travel advisor is. And I guess here's the real difference, just to sum it up very succinctly, is that the travel advisor really curates an experience, a vacation for the consumer. Whereas when someone books online, it's a transaction. It's not the experience. So if somebody really wants to a start to finish experience, which I think most consumers do, it's important to go and visit a travel advisor. And that's why we're a channel of choice. We always say, see a travel advisor, book with the experts who really know how to make this vacation the best vacation that you're ever going to experience. Oftentimes travel advisors get into this industry and they say, well, but Vicki, I'm not really a salesperson. And that seems like such a hard thing for me to do is to close. Mm-hmm. And I say, you got to reframe your thinking a bit. You are not selling anybody anything. You're helping to guide the consumer into making the right buying decision. And when you think about that, it reframes the role of the travel advisor. If I'm helping to guide the consumer into making the right buying decision, then we're sitting on the same bench. We're on the same side. And it's my role is to give them the right advice and suggestions on where they might want to go to get the best ROI on their vacation dollar.
I want to ask you specifically about some of the professional growth and development of travel advisors. What are some of the common traits that you found make an advisor a good partner to Royal Caribbean?
Oh, well, someone who's passionate about wanting to sell Royal Caribbean, or somebody who's passionate about wanting to do more business with Royal Caribbean, that certainly piques our interest. But somebody who has a desire to just want to learn our product and to bring people on board our ships. So, we want to serve travel partners. And in order for us to serve them, we provide local support in their communities. And so it's important for us to give people who are brand new in the industry or people who have been experienced in the industry a long time, the level of service that they need. And it's really one size fits one. It's not one size fits all. Somebody may be brand new and really their biggest challenge is not having a big enough net of clients. And we want to help them, show them how they do have a big enough net and how to get more people.
And that's great. And I can attest that Royal Caribbean has been such a supportive channel for advisors to go to with all of their marketing help to help grow and scale their business. And over the years, you've worked closely with a lot of travel advisors and really seen how they shape the travel experience for its clients. And it's
their role has evolved more than just booking trips. They're really, as you mentioned, trusted experts who provide valuable insights and guidance. And given how important trust is now, especially with the rampant fraud and AI being a big factor, I'd love to hear your thoughts on how advisors can influence the broader perception of the travel experience from the beginning to the end.
I think it's really how a travel advisor positions their value that's really counts. When travel advisors say, I can book your trip, that's not a value that many consumers will appreciate. It's not about booking a trip. The internet can book a trip and 1-800 can book a trip. But a travel advisor, as I said earlier, helps guide the consumer into really right purchase. And that's a role. Look, at people don't take vacations every day. This isn't like buying a cup of coffee at Starbucks every single day. This is usually a once or twice a year event. And it's really important that people get it right. It's not money, it's the time they're investing. And when a travel advisor can guide those consumer to really make the right vacation choice, then that's the plus factor. So I always say, don't say to somebody, I can book your vacation, because that's not adding value. You really got to be able to articulate what you bring to the consumer and the experience that you can bring to that vacation.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, time is it's a resource that is just not renewable. And I think we all learned how important our time is. And as you say, most Americans just don't have a lot of vacation time. Do they even spend most of their vacation time? So getting it right on the first time and having a trusted professional advisor guide you through that process is so invaluable.
Absolutely.
So with all the talk about fraud, travel scams, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges that travel advisors face in the cruise industry, and how can cruise lines help advisors overcome some of these challenges?
Well, I think being a part of ASTA certainly helps, because ASTA is there to really help the travel advisor so that they don't fall into traps of fraud. As far as fraud with Royal Caribbean, we do not see a very large piece of that happening in our brand. Truthfully, we get final payment ahead of time. We get the credit card ahead of time. If we sense that there's something fraudulent about that credit card, our systems usually pick up on that, so that it isn't an issue. So we're really not exposed to it in that same way.
Oh, well, that's great to hear, especially because, again, fraud is such a big thing that happens not only in travel, but in all industries. And with the explosion of AI, I'm sure the fraudsters will be very, very creative. So love to hear that the cruise industry is minimize the amount of fraud that's going on. Now, you're such a big face, a big leader in the cruise industry. You've had such an impressive career, and as a female leader, you've probably seen firsthand the challenges women face, especially in roles in advisory or leadership. How do you continue to inspire and support other women in the industry to succeed, particularly in those positions?
Well, I think it's important to support everybody in the industry, women and men, but particularly with women. There's lots of young women here at Royal Caribbean, and I have a mentorship group where I am with women, and we talk about, how do you make a difference? And here's an example. I recently went to a meeting in one of our big boardrooms, and there were these young girls that were sitting at the table. They got to the meeting on time. They got to the meeting actually early. So there's this big conference room table, but behind it are other seats where people always have to fill in because there's just not enough room at the conference room table. Mm-hmm. Appointment meeting. And then these two women, they were young gals, and they got up from their chairs because some vice presidents walked in who were men, and they were like, oh, here, you take my seat. And I'm like, oh, no, ladies, sit down. You got here. You have those seats. And I said, and those men should have gotten here on time if they wanted to be at the main table, but they're at the kids' table now in the back row. And I said, you don't have to give up your seat. And you know what was so interesting? That's the difference between men and women, because a young guy wouldn't have stood up and given up his seat. But these two women who got the seat and wanted to be at the main table decided that they should stand up because somebody had a fancier title. And I'm saying, you get there first, you get to own that seat.
That's great. That's great. I mean, again, it talks about opportunity, just being able to be present and understand the opportunities that are around you. I love the fact that 80% of our industry is female-owned entrepreneurs. My mom was an entrepreneur in the travel industry, and so I learned from her. So I have a warm place in my heart for females out there who work hard, because just being a mother and just being able to see women do it day in, day out, it's amazing to watch. And so really, really happy for all of you and your success.
Well, thank you. And I really don't think being a woman or a man determines your success. I think it's really motivation and how you inspire other people around you, and how dedicated you are to really wanting to be the best that you can be. I mean, I grew up at another cruise line prior to Royal Caribbean where there was never like a thought, oh, a woman in a senior level role. And we certainly don't see that at Royal Caribbean. I mean, look at Laura Hodges. She's the cruises. This is a company that has a lot of women in top positions. So I think the world is different now. And I think women are really accepted, and travel, particularly, like you said, Alvin, your mom was, successful in the travel industry, and women tend to have a little bit more patience and kind of care in wanting
Yes, they do.
really a perfect vacation.
Yeah, there's that care and genuine authenticity of being able to help and serve, and I think it's just innate in most. So I love it.
So one of the things we often say in the travel industry is that, this isn't something you said earlier. This isn't a one size fits all proposition. Royal Caribbean International has multiple brands that all kind of have different types of experiences for different types of clients. And it also stands to reason then that there's also like the right client for a specific advisor. And so, having been around the industry, having helped manage a couple of different brands for different types of customers, what would you say to our audience to empower them to maybe say no to a client who doesn't fit, or refer a client who doesn't fit?
I mean, I think that's a great question, actually. You start with asking good qualifying questions to the prospect, because they're not a client until they have purchased something from you. So you ask good qualifying questions. What are you looking for in a vacation? And what type of an experience are you looking to have? And are there certain things that interest you? Like, are you a foodie? Are you one that likes entertainment? Do you just want to sit on a beach? And once you can ask those questions, you can get kind of a recipe of what the right product is. So if it's a family traveling, of course, Royal Caribbean would be the brand for them. But if a family or a couple is saying, well, we're going on our 25th wedding anniversary and we're looking for something very unique, very special, then you might want to put them on Silversea on in Antarctica or Galapagos experience, but you won't know that until you first start asking what kinds the question.
Okay. That was good. I think we got enough. You did freeze for a little bit, but we're good. But we can't let you out of here without asking you a question on maybe the one topic you're even more knowledgeable about than either cruising or working with an advisor. So when can we see you quit your dream job and go on the international pickleball tour? And if Alvin and I decide to play you, will you spot us 10 points?
I don't know if I'll spot you 10 points, but we will play on the Star of the Seas, because on every inaugural, I compete against our travel industry friends and travel partners, and I always have a really good player with me. That's what makes me better, because Jesse, that was your ball. Where were you? And even though it's my ball, I can blame it on him. And so I always get a really good player who's much younger than me and knows how to, smash those balls. But we always appreciate playing with our travel partners on our inaugurals and our trade events, because it's fun. We give away a prize to everybody who just participates, and hopefully we win them all. But if we don't, we're happy to lose to our travel partners.
Well, that said, Vicki, do you have any other advice or parting words or any other wisdom you want to give to the advisor community today?
I'd just like to say we've been through some challenging times during the pause, and now we are out of those times. And now what we've realized, and really what the consumer took away from that pause period, is that being with family and friends and having that human connection is so much more important than we ever thought it was. And maybe we took all of that for granted in the past, but after the pause, all of us realized we missed our friends and family and we missed the experiences. And so the role that each and every travel advisor plays is so critical today because people want the experiences. They don't want stuff anymore. They have enough stuff and they bought a lot of stuff during the pause. And so what they are really looking for now is sharing the experiences and the memories with their loved ones and their friends and families. So the role that a travel advisor plays today is more important than ever. And I oftentimes tell travel advisors, you are an MD, and they look at me and they go, Vicki, I'm not a doctor. You are a memory doctor. And the role that you play is equally as important as a doctor that helps people physically, because you provide those memories for people that they're going to last a lifetime. And when people reflect back on their lives and that you ask them, what were the most important moments in your life? Nobody says, oh, I got the first iPhone when it first came out, or I got the first iPad, or, but they do reflect upon the trips that they took, or the weddings, or the, special occasions that they shared with loved ones. And so vacations are usually number one on the list. So never forget the role you play, because it's a very important role for the consumer.
That's so insightful, and it's amazing because we are the curators of people's memories and emotions. And I'm glad that you wrapped it up all together. But thank you, Vicki Freed, for joining us. It's always a pleasure for you to share your insights and wisdom with us. And again, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Welcome back to Travel You Can Trust, an ASTA podcast. Mike Schottey here with Alvin Adriano, and we're joined by ASTA President and CEO Zane Kerby. Zane, how are we doing today?
Hey, Michael, Alvin, good to see you guys. Long time no see.
Absolutely. We won't ask about why you haven't fired Alvin yet, but we've got some good questions for you.
I can answer that because I have a pretty good pickleball swing. I mean, Zane and I got into it a couple of weeks back, and I have to say, Zane's got a little pep in his step, so I'm still on the team. I have potential.
They let the boss win. It was very nice of them. They let the boss win that day. That was good. It's always smart to do. But Alvin is integral to our operation, both pickleball and ASTA.
and podcasting. It's uncanny. He just finds himself glomming on to all of this stuff. Let me ask you, Zane, you've been in this role as ASTA President and CEO since 2013. It's been a couple years. What do you think is one of the biggest surprises about this job that you never would have guessed a decade ago? And what piece of advice would you give the young and fresh-faced Zane Kerby on the first day of the job?
Wow, that's a lot of questions in one, Michael. I think probably the what surprised me the most about this job is the pace. There are 21,000 and a half members, and there are 15 members of the board of directors, and there are about 45 members of our proud partner committee on the supplier side, and kind of trying to balance all of the different interest groups within ASTA. There's corporate agencies and leisure agencies. There's a lot to balance with the role, and then you have 35 coworkers and employees that we're trying to deliver on the mission. So there's a lot coming at you at any given moment. It's really hard to discern. But there's also no day-to-day boss there too, right? We report to the board of directors, but there's no day-to-day boss. So you have to really choose your time and choose your activities really carefully, because what you do, what you focus on, what you decide is important to the organization. So what would I tell my younger self? I tell myself to take my vitamins and get ready and get plenty of sleep, because the role is pretty all encompassing. The other thing that surprised me too, and I kind of joked about this at a conference where I was last week, is I kind of feel like sometimes the role is wandering around the earth with a bunch of thank you notes, and I kind of feel that way. That you first of all, we rely on an enormous amount of volunteer leadership here at ASTA in order to make the trains run on time, and goodwill. And those things are hard to come by. And so recognizing people for all that they give to ASTA and to the profession is a big part of this role. And I didn't expect that when I started. I thought I'd be much more in the numbers and much more, staring at spreadsheets all day and giving rallying speeches to the troops. And the reality is when you show gratitude to the people who are really helping deliver on the mission, that's one of the important roles you serve as the CEO.
That's awesome, Zane. That's a great perspective. And yeah, you've been here for a long time. And shifting gears a little bit, the members that we support, that we advocate and defend, travel advisor community, they appreciate all your leadership. And it's just amazing to see what we've done in the last 12 years. But one of the things that we really do is advocate for travel advisors. What do you think makes travel advisors truly trusted in the eyes of the consumer or the public?
Yeah, I mean, I know I've benefited greatly both on the leisure and the corporate side of having a travel advisor look out for me. I honestly think it's the trust that's engendered because someone knows you. So they have all this tacit and wonderful knowledge about a very specific and complex subject. And they know schedules and rules and times and destinations and where to eat and what to go. They know all these things. And then when an advisor asks you, the right kind of qualifying questions and gets to know you and know your preferences. I've told this story once before, but I just remember what the travel advisor used to serve as our travel advisor at ASTA. Mary Peters, she actually stayed up one night till midnight because that's when the seats were being released for upgrades at ASTA, and she wanted me to fly home in comfort from all the way halfway around the world. So I didn't know that those seats were being available, where the upgrades were available at midnight, but she did because she knew this complex system. And so while I slept very comfortably, she was up looking out for me and making sure that my ride home was going to be comfortable. And that story has stayed with me year after year. And it's just that's the reason, right? I trust Mary Peters implicitly, and I trust all of the advisors that we have since her. It's because they're professional. They know their business, and when they know you, that makes all the difference. And it takes all the sting and all the hassle out of the travel planning process, and it lets you focus on what you want to do, which is make your leisure dreams come true, your memories magical. And on the business travel side, it lets you focus on the core of what you're trying to accomplish, rather than spending so much time and energy trying to just to work the system to your advantage. So anyway, that's another long-winded answer to a short question.
No, it's important to understand the relationship you build with a professional, because they know your preferences, they know what you like. And I mean, I don't know if that's how we should differentiate advisors from a good one or an average one. But they do things out of the daily workday to get these amazing experiences for for their clients, so that they can truly make memories. And whether in your leisure or corporate, time is something that we just can't renew. And having the ability to have someone streamline that process is so important. But along those lines,
I don't think we can underscore that enough, Alvin, because Sandra and David, one of our some longtime members, mm-hmm. they sent a couple recently on their honeymoon, and they had a person in a tux walk onto the beach with like champagne and lunch, and just like push past all the dross, all the other people, and just say, we wanted to congratulate you on your marriage and your wedding, and thank you. I think they even sang them a song. So it was like,
it wouldn't get past me if they did.
And so think about that. Like, you're sitting there and you're enjoying your honeymoon, and all of a sudden this beautiful experience sort of comes out of left field, planned and organized by your travel advisor. Like that kind of thing, that's the trust I'm talking about. That's engendered there. Like, me, it's important to me, you're trying to make something really, really work well. And those are things that computer algorithms are never gonna sort of dream up. They don't have human experiences, right? They don't know what it's like to walk on the beach. They don't know what it's like to, have to sort of have those things available. So anyway, I think that those memories that when advisors go that extra step, those those are the things that algorithms are never going to do, and that the vending machine that people sometimes buy travel online with isn't going to do for them. So anyway, I think the profession's in really good hands, and as I look at the rising generation of professionals, I'm really encouraged.
Yeah, I think I pulled my answer already. You mentioned trust. That's such an important thing when you build relationships. But is there anything else that differentiates a truly great advisor from any other advisor?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like our members, the ASTA members that I know, they're like part magician, part guidance counselor, part therapist, part they have, and then they know this. They know an enormous amount about a specific kind of travel. So to me as well, like I would rather be a mile deep and an inch wide than a mile wide and an inch deep. And I think that really successful advisors, you intuitively know they're going to add value to your trip because they just know things you don't know. And they can demonstrate that very, very quickly. So I've been on the phone with advisors, and I've been like, I'm not sure that they understand me, and I'm not sure they understand the destination or what I'm trying to get to. And I've been on the phone with advisors, and I'm like, wow, their knowledge is incredible, and they're asking all the right questions, and it's like, bingo, you got my business. So I think that being able to articulate that some of the tacit things they know and to build trust quickly, whether online or on the phone, I think that really does differentiate quality and advisors from maybe some that still have a ways to go to get there.
ASTA has had some big wins this year, but where do you feel, not just this year, but over your time, where are some of the greatest strides that ASTA or the industry or advisors, where are some of the greatest strides that they've made, and what do you think is one missed opportunity that still haunts you?
Oh, wow. Oh, you're gonna go there. Um, let's see. Some of the biggest wins, I have, and it's not from an airline, it's from a hotelier. I have a letter from them telling me to cease and desist my disparaging remarks about their brand from my public remarks about their brand, because they were treating travel advisors in what I felt was an unfair way. So my sense is, like, every time that we stand up for advisors anywhere we are, whether it's to the traveling public, whether it's within the industry itself, as a sort of mouthpiece or voice or tip of the spear, however you want to describe it, within the industry to the supplier base, or whether it's places like on Capitol Hill, where it's really important to speak with one voice when you're talking to regulators who are setting the rules of the road. So we've had some really, really great wins over the years. I think getting the cruise industry restarted in Alaska was maybe one of the most direct things that has happened to us. That was a couple of years ago as the pandemic was raging, and there's still an enormous amount of work to do. What's one miss? Honestly, I would say we've had a really good year this year in terms of working with our supplier base to help them understand the value, working with the value that our profession brings to help facilitating their services. But honestly, I think that not getting the sort of FAA reauthorization bill, one of our main priorities, which is to keep travel advisors off the hook for airline refunds until they have the money, that's something that sticks in my craw a little bit. And the fight isn't over. I think our members are understanding that we did everything we possibly could do. We marshaled an enormous amount of PAC contributions and meetings on the Hill. I know I stood around far too many evenings waiting for self-important politicians to come to and hear what we had to say. But that's one that it not necessarily got away, but one that's not finished, and that we really, really need to get a win on, so that our members can sleep a little easier at night. But yeah, that's one that I get enormously proud of all the work that we've done. But that's one that still kind of makes me wince when I think about it.
And the fight is not over, as you said. Want to turn the focus a little bit more personal here. most people who know Zane Kerby know you're an avid reader. So how can our listeners get smart like Zane Kerby? What are some newspapers, magazines, books, podcasts, whatever? Like I'm seriously asking for Alvin. What can he do to get on your level?
Alvin's already way ahead of me. So, as are most people, I'm trying to catch up to everybody else. But yeah, I do get up in the morning. I read 5 publications every morning. I read the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, the Economist, the Washington Post, and the Atlantic. And so I'm constantly scouring, obviously looking for stuff on the trade. And there's great articles. I read 3 or 4 articles that I'll send to the senior staff this morning on AI generated influencers now that are actually turning real travel influencers, making them very angry. There's great articles in Wall Street Journal on airline competition. So, but yeah, I think that being, sort of keeping a pulse on what's going on, you can't take that too far, right? I mean, I've noticed I probably need to do a few more sit-ups in the morning, a little less reading. But yeah, just having a pulse on what's going on in the industry and then what's going on in the wider world, because in reality, so many different things affect travel. I mean, it's not only public policy, but it's healthcare policy around the world. It's the price of oil. It's conflicts. It's how Americans feel like they're going to be perceived abroad, and how people feel like, and what people feel like when they come to visit the United States. I mean, there's so many. There's weather. There's still strikes. There's union strikes. There's so many things that affect travel. And so, trying to keep yourself abreast of what's going on can be a challenge. And so I get up and read a lot in the morning and try to stay abreast of what's going on, and hopefully can share, something with our senior staff and help us maybe see around corners a little bit better than others.
Managing it gets quite cumbersome. I mean, just finding all of these disruptors and things that can affect our industry. But you mentioned one that was particular that's affecting most industries out there, and it's AI, artificial intelligence. That's been the talk of the town. And how do you see tech playing a bigger role in the future of travel advisors? I mean, some people think that AI might replace human expertise, but I know we don't feel that way. But will they become tools that will enhance travel advisors and their role? How do you see that, Zane?
I can just tell you what I hear from our members, and that's that the really sharp, forward-thinking ones are already using artificial intelligence to do some of the more mundane tasks, or even to speed some of the important tasks they do around marketing and consumer acquisition and communication. So it's a tool. It's a great tool. I don't think it's ever going to, replace the sort of judgment that humans have, and it can't, because it doesn't have experience either. It can actually collate lots of different bands of experiences, but it doesn't have any experience itself. And I think that's really what makes travel. You asked earlier, that makes travel advisors unique, is that most of our members have been to 70 or so different countries, and they add a new country every year. And then they're professional travelers themselves, so they have this experience. They know what's going on. They know what to do, and then they can recommend the important things to their clients. So I think AI is a great tool. We're going to start using it more at ASTA. We already do use it with some of our marketing messaging and some of the mundane things that we have to do. But in terms of disrupting the profession, I think it's going to disrupt lots of professions. It's going to make more information available at people's fingertips and organized in different ways. But frankly, that's not a whole lot different than what we've had with Google and sort of the different tools that have been developed over the years. In my mind, I can tell you this too. Like, my office is kind of the ground zero for the nerve center for travel advisor pain. Whenever there's any pain that's felt out there, it hits my inbox pretty quickly. And I'll tell you this, finding new clients is not a problem for our members, and hasn't been for the last 2 or 3 years. Our members are doing brisk business. I think we're benefiting from the post-pandemic, travel boom, and all those things are great. So, but I think that trust engendered is between our members and their clients can't be replaced by an algorithm. That's not practical. That's like saying that the relationship that you have with a friend can be displaced by an electronic someone. It just, I mean, I know now kids are chatting with AI online and finding friendships there, finding some pseudo friendships, which I find a little disturbing, but you know, it's never going to take to replace your friend or a spouse or a child or anything. So I don't see that it's going to disrupt the really important relationship between a travel advisor and their.
Yeah, I've seen those type of apps where you can befriend one of your celebrity friends and it just responds to you. So it's really crazy to see how technology is evolving and changing our, how we perceive things and how it influences our decision making. But
I saw one just yesterday about a psychologist warning kids against quote unquote perfect AI girlfriends. And it was like, oh, I can't imagine what the danger might be. Oh, you mean my human relationships might not be perfect? Oh, shocker there.
let's ask the machine how to improve my social skills. So you mentioned some things, Zane, uncertainty, AI disruptions, but in your opinion, what are the challenges that the advisor industry are going to face in the next 5 to 10 years?
Ooh, wow. I think that some of the big things that are out there, some of the things that keep me up at night have to do with governments making decisions in the name of health, healthcare decisions in the name of public policy. So shutting borders, or heaven forbid, if another kind of big sort of severe anomaly disruption happens like the pandemic did. Like those are and those things that we're trying to prepare for on our side by going to Congress now and saying, listen, when you make decisions in the name of public health, you have to keep travel reliant businesses like ours afloat, right? It's only fair. You can't shut things down and expect people to just eat crumbs until you decide to open things back up again. So that I'm hopeful that the next pandemic will be long after Zane Kerby is dead and gone. But if not, we're certainly preparing for and want to make sure that our congressional leaders know that they have a duty to not only act in the name of public health, but also to keep travel reliant and customer in-person reliant businesses afloat. Next time around. I think artificial intelligence, really good advisors are going to use it, and they're going to use technology tools to their advantage. And those, the others they're going to fall behind. And so I think the other thing is, you have to be a lifelong learner in this profession. And so if you're not signing up for that, you're going to also fall behind, and you're not going to be a very profitable business. Some of the great business people I know in our industry, they don't even have a phone number. They send videos out to people that answer their questions, and they send them an invoice for what they want to do after communicating via text or email. And so, when you think about and can have scale to do enormous amounts of business with a small number of people, so this is a great place to flex your entrepreneurial muscle. The social media is going to continue to sort of fuel travel dreams and demand. And really, sharp advisors are going to take advantage of that. They're going to get specific product knowledge that people are after. And obviously, we know we have some insider information there because we understand travel patterns. People want to go to the Western European capitals and aspirational places there, and in the Caribbean, and then once they do that, that spurs more travel dreams. So I think as long as our members want to be lifelong learners and learn more about new modes and new places that people want to travel and are able to add value to those kinds of trips, they're going to be just fine.
I want to explore that just a little bit more because, you've said and we've said as an industry, the travel advisor business is a resilient business. The change from paper to digital tickets didn't kill the business. Expedia didn't kill the business. All of the things over the years that people thought were going to doom travel advisors were stronger today than we've arguably been in a long time. I won't say ever been, but we're stronger than we've been in a long time. COVID didn't kill it. AI is not going to kill it. But at the same time, I think you probably know many businesses that were, caught in those downturns. So what can you do to sort of future proof your travel business? Like some of these things are going to come along and disrupt, and some businesses, like you said, are going to be caught behind the time. So what in your mind future proofs a business that nothing that comes along, no disruptor is going to come along and push it aside?
I think that goes back to what we've talked about before, and it's becoming indispensable to your clients and to your customers. You know, I'd never bought anything from Nordstrom my whole life. And then one day I went in there and I bought a shirt out of a last minute need. They were the only one that had a shirt for a big fat guy with a big neck like mine. And so I went and bought a shirt. I get a card from that person probably 2 or 3 times a year that sold me that shirt and said, I saw these cufflinks and thought they would be perfect for you. I saw this tie and thought it would be perfect to go with that shirt. And how was the dinner that you went to? And my goodness, I bought 19 things from Nordstrom over the years because this person took the time to just talk to me and get to know me. And it reminds me of exactly what makes our profession magical. And it's being indispensable to the clients, to the customers. It's why we changed our names from agents to advisors 5 or 6 years ago, because we are advising the customer, we're advising the client, we're advising the traveler. And the more indispensable you can make yourself to the traveler, the less I worry about you. I think you're going to be just fine. And I'll tell you, I can hear it when I call. I had the call the other day. I had a complex trip, 3 different cities, and I actually wanted one of my children to come with me to one of those cities and then fly home. And the advisor understood it immediately what I wanted to do, and I had to split the payment because part of the payment was coming from me, from my personal, and part of the payment was coming to ASTA because they were covering a portion of my trip that was going for business. And it just worked like magic. And it was so quick. And that person understood me immediately. And so I'm going to call her back when I need something complex done again. And that's why I think our business is great. And that's why, again, travel, that's why we're getting so many teachers and lawyers and nurses and former real estate professionals, flocking to our industry. We've added 2,400 independent contractors so far this year to ASTA's ranks. These are people who are yearning for information and education and legitimacy in a profession they don't know anything about just yet. So the future is super bright.
So in that exact vein, final question for you. I'm going to ask you to plant your flag. Everyone this time of year wants to make the new year the year of something. I think it's been the year of the travel advisor 12 times since I've been, in and around this business. But if you had to label this year for ASTA, for the industry, for advisors, Zane Kerby says 2025 is going to be the year of the...
It's not it's going to be the year of acceleration. I think that's what I truly believe that. I mean, and I'll tell you why. Because this year, 2024, is the first year that we're going to eclipse 2019 in terms of people who leave the shores of the United States. That year in 2019, almost 100 million Americans left the shore. This year, it'll be 103 million people that will leave the shores. And so my sense is everyone I talk to, Michael and Alvin, says that this is just, accelerating. And that people, that travel spurs more travel. Every time I go somewhere that I've desperately wanted to get to my whole life, I want to go 3 new places. And that's exactly what's happening. And so I think that it's more of like a buckle up. It's going to be the year of acceleration. And I'm looking forward to it.
Well, then, Zane, thank you so much for joining us. Schottey and I are both excited to see what we accomplish at ASTA this year. I mean, we have a lot of potential and a lot of new goals, so excited what becomes to fruition. But definitely we'll have to have you back on the show and give later this year and probably give an update to all of our viewers and members. So
that's all the time we got. I want to thank you for listening to Travel You Can Trust, an ASTA podcast. Special thanks to Vicki Freed from Royal Caribbean, and ASTA President and CEO Zane Kerby for joining us today. And I want to give a special thanks to all of you for listening. Please, wherever you get your podcasts, subscribe, click that notification button so you know when all of our newest podcasts are coming out. We plan to come to you every couple of weeks or so with the latest and greatest news from the travel industry and insights from some of the biggest and best leaders, both among travel advisors and suppliers and ASTA staffers. So for Alvin Adriano, this is Mike Schottey. Thank you so much.
Professional certification is priceless in this industry. There's a lot of people who say they're a travel agent, travel professional, but you want someone who's verified, someone who has the knowledge, the skills, and I've had 30 years in the business. So that's a priceless thing to have someone with so much knowledge in an ever-changing world.
It's an exclusivity type of thing. I want to be credentialed. I want to show that I have a mastery of professionalism, and that I feel like really sets me apart.
My business did see an increase in sales, and I think that has a lot to do with attracting more clients who are comfortable seeing that I have a VTA designation.
Understanding from the ASTA training just how important it is to cover yourself. And ASTA really took me through like how important terms and conditions are, errors and omissions insurance, things that I never had to worry about before. And I feel so much better. I sleep a lot better at night knowing that my business is taken care of and my personal being and my family are taken care of.